Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel where it's my opinion or no opinion at all. Scottalicious McFabulous here, and I hope that you are feeling Percy. And today, we are going to be talking about the age-old question. Are Coach vintage handbags better than the modern-day Coach bags? The famous Tanner Leatherstein on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you have it, has done a video dissecting vintage Coach bags versus new ones, and I want to give you my honest thoughts and opinions on his very good breakdown and possibly clear up any confusion that some people may or may not have had. But before we hop into today's Coach bag video, vintage versus new, if you guys love Coach handbags, hauls, luxury, the whole lot of those, please hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you guys enjoy today's content, make sure you hit that like button, as it does help me know you enjoyed today's video, and it helps with that pesky YouTube algorithm.
They've all been deactivated.
Impossible!
So there is a lot of debate online whether vintage Coach bags are better than modern bags today, like the new ones. I have always said that I do personally find vintage Coach bags to be like the creme de la creme, like the cream of the crop, the bee's knees. Like, I personally find vintage Coach to be something like it. If you can find one, girl, keep it. You know what I mean? And I do still really, really love the new Coach bags, like the new leathers. And I do really find that they've been able to at least maintain a nice, luxurious leather. Though I might personally not find the leathers to be of... They're not necessarily on the same level. But let us quickly hop into Tanner Leatherstein's breakdown, his little TikTok he did. We'll quickly just go through little bits. I'll pause and I'll tell you my thoughts. And yeah.
Bag to today's versions. I see the leather and design is a little rugged. The leather wasn't dyed through at the time. That day's technology, some tanners may not have the ability to do that for every skin.
So what he's saying, basically, is that he thinks that the vintage bags are more rugged. The leather isn't as refined, and the just general craftsmanship isn't on par as it is today. Now, when we're taking, like, looks at these bags here, I do have vintage versus, like, new. Like, obviously, the newer bags have way more thought process, a lot more fashion sense put into their bag designs now. So I definitely feel like what he's saying there is most definitely, like, hands-on true. Like, that's true. But we do know that, like, these still are, like, the craftsmanship on these are still just as good, if not better, than today's Coach bags. Like, it's still there. It's still impeccable. It's still high-end in that manner. But like the leather, when you see it, it's not as refined. It's thicker. It's not as soft and smooth to the touch. Or yeah, soft and supple to the touch. It's not as soft and supple to the touch. So, like, obviously there's been some newer processes, newer ways to dye leathers, newer ways to add like softness, like he's saying, refine it, you know, new technologies, all of that. But in all honesty, like, when you are comparing the two, like, there's not a horrible difference between the two at all. One has thicker leather, but it's not as refined. It's not as thoroughly dyed. It might not be as soft and supple to the touch as the new gloved hand leather is. But this newer gloved hand leather, it's not gonna hold up as long, in my opinion. Like, as you can tell, the scratches on this one show way more than they do on this one. That's more delicate bag, you know what I mean? As well, like, with the inside of these bags and stuff, like, it's, like, a single layer of leather and then, like, an unfinished seam type of thing. So, like, I totally understand exactly what he means when he's stating all of this.
The design and craftsmanship was much more rugged again on the vintage one. Today they have much more refined, sophisticated designs, stitching is more complicated.
So, again, I definitely do feel like that's kind of like a no-brainer. That's kind of like bags in a general sense nowadays. I definitely feel like most handbags have a lot more engineered into them. There's a lot more thought process, a lot more manpower goes into making one rather than just sewing a couple pieces of leather together. You know what I mean? There's actual more moving parts to this. There's more hardware, or you're sewing 10 different pieces of leather together, or you're weaving them, that kind of thing. So there is definitely a lot more craftsmanship being put in today's Coach bags rather than 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, the design wasn't as intricate. It wasn't as like, oh, you got all these pocket compartments. You got like refined leather on the inside. It is just like the pure straight leather. But the thing is, this pure straight leather feels a lot thicker and a lot more durable. And in all honesty, in my opinion, it does feel a tad bit more luxurious than the modern day stuff. But there are other handbags that Coach does make. Like a huge one for me is the 5 years ago, the beautiful gloved hand pebbled leather. They're taking the gloved hand leather and they're just making it even better. So I do feel like there are maybe certain leathers that are really like, that's the best Coach leather. I feel like this leather I'm holding right here might very well be the best Coach leather I own, even out of like the vintage bags that I sit here and say are my best bags. But it's only because they've refined it. They've done such a good job being able to take a beautiful, thick hide and they've made it into something marvelous. So, again, you do have to, like, it's like, okay, some of the bags are definitely, for sure, better. But then again, when you're taking into account just gloved hand leather, this stuff scratches really easy. It's not as thick as this stuff is. So there's definitely some asterisks to both vintage and modern.
They were going with heavy brass. I see from the rusts on the brass. Their accessories are really heavy and super high quality. One of the best I've seen in this industry still. It's probably not full brass anymore, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
So I totally agree with him. I definitely don't think they have that full brass hardware. The hardware nowadays does not wear as well as it, like, the vintage counterparts do. It's definitely a better hardware, but I will say I do like how they've been able to maintain that hardware. Most of it's really, really damn good, especially for today's standards. And in all honesty, like, I do, like, when he's showing, like, the rust of, like, the leather peeling and everything, I'm like, bleh. Like, that's gross. So in my eyes, I do feel like that's actually a really good quality improvement. Though they could probably make the coating on it maybe a little thicker, something like that, just so it doesn't hit the metal as fast. So it is a really good thing that they still use brass, but they also mix it with other metals, and it makes an immaculate, luxurious hardware. I love Coach hardware.
Let's rage.
Woo! Let's go. Okay. To Mars house we go.
Now that we've looked at his video, let's go through some of the comments. Some people seem to be a little confused with what Tanner Leatherstein has said in his video. So let's start off with, like, the most liked comment here, which I feel is a little shady. Thanks so much for doing this comparison. So many influencers said the old Coach bags were better. So what I'm getting from this entire TikTok that Tanner Leatherstein has said, it's scaled well. The handbags have scaled excellently with modern day productions. Now, it's definitely not as thick. These leathers aren't as thick. They're not as durable. They're not gonna last you like nearly, I feel, as long, even though these are a lot softer to the touch. They feel supple. They still smell friggin' amazing. Like, they really did scale incredibly well. But what I would really like to see is a mix. I feel like a mix would really, really be beneficial. Not only would it take like the thickness and the durability of this leather, but they transition it into like the soft, the supple, the durable. Like, they still maintain what is the vintage leather while having the modern luxury effect. I definitely feel like vintage Coach bags are better, but not by much. Like, it's not like, oh, they're leaps and bounds better. If they've been around for 30 years and they can still look this good, I mean, ma'am, that's all you really need to know about the leather used back then. So that's my opinion, and without further ado, let's hop into my outfit of the day.
Maybe there is right now. And 99 don't believe in you. But all you need is just for one person to believe. There can be 100 people, 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 100, or 1,000, 9,000, or 999. There can be 100 people in the room, and 99 don't believe in you.
Alrighty, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's Coach vintage versus new, like, breakdown and reaction to Tanner Leatherstein's really, really good TikTok video. Like, he takes apart bags all the time from all sorts of brands. Please go check him out. He is one of my favorite, like, handbag YouTubers, whatever you want to call it. He does a whole bunch of stuff. As well, if you did enjoy today's video from me, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, share with your friends and family, comment to me any type of opinion you may or may not have had on today's outfit of the day or reaction video to Tanner Leatherstein. As well, you can always support me and the channel directly by sending me a very generous super thanks donation. And you can check out the description box below for the 3 lucky links to my Instagram, Facebook, and Discord notification squad. I love you all to the absolute moon and back, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!
I think it was good.
I'm done. No, show's over. Show's over.